it's Doris with Aldi Books, and I'm here to wrap up the rest of the books that I read or didn't in January. So starting out with the one I didn't, I don't think anyone is surprised here. The Shining Girls by Lauren Bukes. So I started out this, well, I didn't start out hopeful. He pulled the wings off the bee, and I'm like, you're a disgusting human being. And I thought I was going to be really disturbed by this book, but no. So this is a kind of a horror slash mystery slash historical fiction kind of thing. Basically, the serial killer time travels in this house, and the house wasn't particularly spooky to me. The killing wasn't particularly interesting. I mean, it was just like, there are the guts lying on the ground. I mean, it wasn't, no. In our serial killer after the bee incident, he wasn't particularly psychotic. He was just a bad guy. So I was bored. The historical aspect was somewhat interesting because you know, every time he jumped out of the house, it was a different time period, and that was pretty interesting, but it wasn't enough to carry me through. So I don't even know how many pages I read, but I was just like, no. Anyway, then I finished Alan Patton's Cry the Beloved Country, and this book was so beautiful. So beautiful. So this is set in South Africa in the 1940s, I think. You've got a like country reverend, and his son and his sister both leave for the big city for different reasons. I think the son actually goes to look for his aunt, and they both get caught up in city life and corrupted by it. Then the wealthy white landowner in the region, his son gets killed, and yeah, it's just these intertwining stories of mercy and justice and hope. This one is very hopeful in the end and just really beautiful in that way, and I really appreciated it against some of the other South African books that I read last month. I also finished Transcript by Hamrid Bakker. This is a concrete poetry. The poetry is taken directly from German Nazi documents from World War II, the Holocaust, and it's very austere, so it does a really good job. You know, you think of poetry being very emotive, and this does a really good job of showing the lack of emotion involved in this. Yeah, in the what am I trying to say, Auschwitz and the Holocaust. Oh yeah, anyway, sorry. That one was the first of my German reads, and then the first of my translated reads on German is this 7 Lives and One Great Love by Lena Devani, Memoirs of a Cat. This one was charming, a little snarky, a little edgy. It's told from the perspective of the cat, and I just really enjoyed it a great deal. Did not know that cats in Greece only have 7 lives, because here in the States they have 9. But yeah, this was a lot of fun for me, and translated from the Greek. I don't know if I mentioned that. And then I also finished, finally, Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom. Yeah, this was a really, really good read. It starts when he's in elementary school, quickly progresses to his college years and young adult years. how he decides to make his own way in the world, and then how he gets involved in politics with the ANC and works his way up in that organization. And then, you know, the political turmoil of the time period. The middle part was kind of slower for me with the political intrigue and things, and the courtroom trials and such. The last part was really great, reading 27 years in prison, just reading about that and everything that he went through and how the time was spent, and then, you know, how he finally got out in the new South Africa. And this one ends pretty abruptly once he gets out of prison and with the election. So I kind of need to find something to read that talks about how South Africa is rebuilt in the new political landscape. And then I finished Home by Marilynne Robinson. This is the second in the Gilead trilogy. So Gilead was my book. I loved Gilead. It just grabbed me from page one and really never let me go. Home was harder for me to get into. This one is, you know, Gilead is written from the perspective of John Ames, a minister in a small community, talking about his wife and his very young son, and he's, you know, aging, and the prodigal son, so to speak, returns. His best friend is also a minister, and his son is named after him, Jack Broughton, and him coming back to town and things. So I just loved what Gilead talked about with themes of, again, love and mercy and justice and forgiveness, and what forgiveness really looks like and what can you forgive. This book focuses more on self-righteousness and hypocrisy within the Christian faith, and the ugly truth of that, and also as it relates to racism. You get a little bit of the Montgomery bus boycotts and things in the background of this one. And yeah, this one was just, for me, part of the problem was that it's the exact same timeline as Gilead. You just get this one from the sister Glory's perspective, so Jack's sister Glory. So you see more of what's going on with Jack at home from Glory's eyes. And I really loved Glory a lot, and Jack as well. But this book, it's quieter, it's more of a slow burn, it keeps percolating around itself. And the fact that it was the same exact timeline as Gilead, so I already knew I don't do well with repetitive stories. So any of those books that repeat the same day over and over, that Groundhog Day syndrome, they don't work for me. So this suffered from that as well. And it was just a little bit too quiet with what it was trying to say. Like, I would have liked it to be a little stronger on the racism and just, you know, speak that a little louder. So yeah, I did like the end, and I love biblical allusion. And so what this did with the story of Abraham and Isaac and all of that was very fascinating to me. But yeah, overall I'm team Gilead, but looking forward to the third in the series with Lila. Yes. And then I quickly read through 84 Charing Cross Road by Helen Hance. This is just a tiny little book told in epistolary format, set right after World War II, I believe. So a different, you know, period in time, a different cadence to life, so to speak, slower paced. Yeah, it's a fun little read about book lovers corresponding across the ocean. And then finally, I finished Coconut by Kopana Matwa. And yeah, this one I really enjoyed. This is another one told from a young person's perspective in post-apartheid South Africa. This is kind of like almost two novellas. The first one is told from the perspective of a wealthy family, a girl in a wealthy family, and how she's, excuse me, those germs are getting to me. They didn't cancel school in time. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, the first half is the perspective of a wealthy girl and how she's adjusting to post-apartheid South Africa and fitting in, and, you know, still racism there, obviously. And the second half is a girl from the, I guess, shanty towns, living with her uncle, but trying to get ahead. Her purpose in life is to attain this money and wealth and to get out of the poverty. And it's just interesting to see the two and think about that struggle from both sides of the story. And they're not really related other than they come in contact in a restaurant. But they're just like two novellas, but just telling this dual tale. And then I thought the author did a really neat thing at the very end to tie them together with their thoughts. But anyway, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to have seen a couple more books by her that I think I might get eventually. So yeah, it's been a great reading month. I'm not done. I think I've got like 8 more books, and then like I said, I keep coming up with these other things that I need to research. So it's going to take me another month or 2 to finish my South African reads, but I've made a great start. So anyway, I think I better go now, get a drink. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye. What you doing, guy? Did nap time? Did you find the good spot? Here comes trouble.